Okay, hello, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the long-awaited number 6, I think, installment of ranking on my palettes. Here I was thinking I'd fucking run right through these and be done and be like, hey, look at me actually finishing a series quickly for once, but no. I feel like probably no one's surprised by that, but I'm committed to doing it. I'm committed to going through them, and it's almost kind of nice in a way to do it a little bit more slowly because it gives me a little bit of a better sense of where things fall, because I did get a lot of new palettes like end of 2021, so it's kind of given me time to think about where they kind of fall in the ranking, so that's kind of helpful in a way. But let's just go through these now. I will say right at the gate, a lot of these are Juvia's Place palettes. Now, I'm wearing a Juvia's Place palette on my eyes today, like for the mattes, and I do honestly still love their formula. They have done some questionable things on Instagram, some not great things, which I don't really want to get into the whole like shit show here, but I am taking a break from them. I haven't bought from them for a long time, and I still do enjoy using what I already have from them, but I don't know where I kind of stand in terms of buying from them in the future. I have had a lot of these palettes for a while, and while I still do love them and use them, and a lot of these I still use quite frequently, there's just something about their shadow formula that the more I try from other brands, it doesn't quite stand out as much as it used to. Although I will say I do really enjoy it. I think it's honestly a really great like beginner shadow formula, especially for color. But yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, so these numbers are a little bit skewed that I have right now, but I'll put the actual numbers on the screen when I talk about the palettes, and I'll adjust for the rest of my videos, because I originally said that I had like 100-ish palettes, but I think I have more than that now based on the number, because I wasn't going to include the new palettes that I got when I started this series, but I am going to include those now. So I will put the actual number of what each like palette is in terms of ranking based on how many actual palettes I have in my collection, but I haven't done that yet, so I'll just put it on the screen, and then hopefully the rest of these videos will be accurate. But it's all, regardless of the actual number, relative to each other, it's all the same, no matter how many like palettes I actually have. So the next palette, so this is getting into my basically top half-ish. I have a little over 100 palettes, so it's not quite like over the halfway point, I don't think, but it's getting into all of these palettes. I'm at the point where all these palettes I love and I do like and I use. Like, I don't have many palettes in my collection that I really dislike, but most of the palettes that I feel like really meh about, I've already discussed, which I have a playlist of this series, so I'll link that in the cards maybe now or at some point in this video if you want to like check out the previous videos to this video. But yeah, I do like these palettes. It's just like a lot of other palettes come in ahead. So I'm going to start. I have number 60 here, but I'll put the actual number again on the screen. Is the Juvia's Place Warrior 3. Now, again, I do like this palette. I actually reached for this pink and blue specifically a lot. I think this metallic blue is really pretty. It's just not a palette I use by itself that much. It's basically like a rainbow-ish palette with a whole bunch of mid-tone mattes and 2 shimmers. And while I do reach for this palette for individual shades, I don't do really complete looks with this palette, and I don't really use this as a standalone palette, so it's here in the ranking. Then Then next is the Juvia's Place, the Magic Mini. Now, I don't know, I still really like this palette. I love this duochrome, the shade Faso here. I love this indigo, the shade Ife. It's again just not one that I use by itself a lot, and maybe if there had been like a couple tweaks here and there where I could use this as a standalone palette more, it would be higher. I do like it, I just feel like this is where it should be ranked. the Afrique palette up next. This ranks a little bit higher. I just like the shade selection here a little bit more in terms of individual shades. Like, I love this blue. I don't know. I just really like the looks that I've created using this palette. Again, not a standalone palette for me, but I do enjoy it. I do like the individual shades, and I like how there's like mattes and then corresponding shimmers. So I don't know. I just prefer this one a little bit more, obviously. Then I have the Saharan palette from Juvia's Place following that. This has been one that I've always felt has been really underrated from Juvia's Place. I've always absolutely loved this palette. Even when I was swatching it, I was like, some of these shimmers are so beautiful. The shade Fula here is such a pretty pink. I absolutely love the shade Zoya. I wore, I think, the shade Senegal on my lids for when I graduated undergrad. And I like the pops of mattes in here. I like that there's a matte black. So I do really, really enjoy this palette a lot, actually. But this is kind of where it falls in terms of how much I reach for it on a regular basis. have the Zulu palette. Again, this is not one that I use by itself, but I find myself reaching for this palette all of the time for these individual shades consistently still today. Like if I need a yellow, I reach for this yellow. If I need a pink, oftentimes I reach for this pink or a single teal. If I want to incorporate like a specific shade into my looks, I'll often reach for this palette. So for that reason, it's pretty high up, especially compared to some of my other Juvia's Place palettes, but because it's not really a standalone palette for me, so as a palette, I don't want to rank it too much higher because a lot of other palettes I can use by themselves. Then we have the Nubian 2 from Juvia's Place. Again, this has been one of my favorite Juvia's Place palettes for a long time. What? I'm almost done. Give me like 5 minutes. What? Oh, that's nice. This has been one of my favorite Juvia's Place palettes for a long time. I just think it's a really nice neutral palette with some jewel toned pops. I reached for, oh, I just stuck myself in the chin. I reached for the shade Madagascar for like a really quick one and done eyeshadow look if I'm in a rush. So I still really enjoy this palette. I like the deep brown. I like the deep plum in here. Yeah. Warrior 2. This is ranked higher because I have gotten so much use out of this palette. I think it's a really, really great am I filming? Yes. I think it's a really great go-to palette if I need some neutral mattes or some like rosy toned mattes or a dark gray or a matte black or a matte white. Like this is kind of just a really nice staple, easy, okay, easy to use palette for me. Okay, we're just gonna have to, if there's some black on my face or my neck, just roll with it, okay? I don't know what the fuck that came from, but anyway. It's just a really nice, like, easy palette to grab for that I do really like as a companion palette, especially to like my singles, or my and especially my more neutral singles. So yeah, that is there. Next up, which I even was a little bit surprised by this palette being in this place. I thought it might have ranked a little bit higher, but there's something that just always holds me back from ranking this palette higher, and I don't quite know what it is. The Raw Beauty Christie and Pure palette. Now, I do still really like this palette. I actually have gotten a ton of use out of it. This is the neutral side, which I do really love. I think it's just, there's only 2 shimmers in here, and I do love this as a neutral palette. I think it's easy to use, it's nice, I love the tones. I just kind of wish that this colorful side was a little bit more than just like a neutral or a rainbow vibe. Especially if this matte white had been a black, I might have enjoyed that a bit more as well. But for those reasons, I don't know, I don't find myself reaching for it a ton unless I actively think about it. And I don't have any particular issue with the shadow formula. I think it works well. I like the shimmers are nice and sparkly, but it's not necessarily my favorite shadow formula in my collection. this next one I actually was going to rank a little bit lower, but I've recently pulled it out again and started using it, and I just adore it. The Pat McGrath Rose Decadence palette. It's really just giving me all of the like rosy toned vibes that is really on trend right now, and I'm on a no buy, so this is kind of giving me everything that I kind of would want from like the newer rosy toned releases. And there's just something about Pat McGrath's shadows that I adore so much. I just love working with them. I love these two mattes in here. I love the tones of these shimmers. Even the satin shade I don't hate. I just always reach for a deeper matte to deepen my crease up when I use this. So for that reason, it's ranked where it is. And also it kind of gives the same vibe no matter what like shimmer you use on the lid. You get a look no matter what that's like a rosy, almost purpley, warm kind of like look, which is not bad. I love it, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have like so much variation in terms of the looks you can do. But I do but I do really love this palette for sure. Lastly in this video is the Deuce palette from Juvia's Place. I really love this palette. I've loved it. It's been one of my favorite Juvia's Place palettes ever since I got it. I just think this color story is so fun and interesting, and you can get a ton of variation. I love the shimmers. I love that they included this dark brown. Maybe I would have preferred like a really deep purple. That would have been so amazing for this palette, but I do like that we have this level of depth here. I think it's just like a fun pastel spring palette that gives you depth. I like this addition of the silver. I think it makes it interesting. So this is definitely one of my favorite Juvia's Place palettes. It's definitely ranked like the top from all of my Juvia's Place palettes that I have, like one of the top ones. So yeah, hopefully you guys still are enjoying this video series. I have been having so much fun, almost kind of taking my time with it, and really like, I'm so fucking serious about this ranking shit. Like, I will literally sit at my desk and like pull palettes out and like scratch things out and move things around, and like, I am serious, okay? It's like high fucking stakes over here. With my palette rankings, so it's just nice. It also kind of helps me revisit them, going through and swatching them, and yeah, I also love swatching videos. I feel like you can never have too many swatching videos, okay? Because I find them so relaxing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it, especially if you made it to the end. I upload 3, typically, sometimes 4 videos a week. If you want to stick around, I would honestly love it so much. And I would love to see you in my next video. Bye!